Hey there guys, welcome to this week's time-lapse here on the channel. Going to be working on an Avengers Silhouette time-lapse for this week, and going to be using the electric blue to start off here. It's kind of a cool image that I found online today, and I decided to use it in the video real quick and film a time-lapse for it. So sticking all the electric blue there on the cardstock first, and then I'm going to be using a little bit of dark blue here. So using the hobby knife to trim off the sides. I would usually be using the scissors, but my sister actually is borrowing all my scissors for a crafting meeting, and I actually don't have any scissors with me, so I'll have to be using some of the just the hobby knife for this. So just using the hobby knife. So trimming all that off on the bottom. There's kind of a blue part on the bottom, and you can start to see the image right there. It's got a silhouette for each of the members of the Avengers. We're working on Hawkeye first, and it's been a long time since I actually cut out something this small on the channel, and for a time lapse at least, and I'm going to be working on all these little silhouettes for the time lapse. So working on Hawkeye first, and they're all kind of lined up on the right side here, and I have to peel each one out individually and then stick it on. A few of them actually have different little pieces on the inside with different colors. Thor's got a few little different colored pieces for his chest plate. Captain America has a star, and of course on his shield as well. And Iron Man's got the most with those trail of light behind him, which is going to be the most fun. I'm going to save him towards the end there because he's my favorite. So working on Thor next, and yeah, so just working on cutting these out with the dark blue. And for some reason I couldn't find a roll of white tape, so I'm actually going to be using the yellow duct tape towards the end there for the light trail that Iron Man is leaving up on the top there. I knew I had a roll of white tape somewhere, but I couldn't seem to find it, so decided to go with the yellow. So now I'm going to cut out those tiny little pieces for Thor's chest plate, and I actually decided those are too big, so I actually cut each one of those in half and made those little pieces a little bit smaller. So working on Captain next. It's kind of funny. It almost seems like the Avengers came out like 2 or 3 months ago. It's hard to believe it's been almost a year since it came out. Pretty crazy. Definitely doesn't seem like it's been that long. Alright, so cutting him out next. Of course, he's got the shield over his head. And then I'm going to peel him up and stick him right next to Thor here. And from there I'll work on putting the star on his chest as well as the star on his shield, and there's kind of a ring around his shield as well. And I think it might be using white tape for that, but I decided to use the electric blue here to kind of contrast with the background pretty well, so I'm just going to work on that. And I decided to freehand the star, so it's a little wacky, but it'll work out pretty well. So the stars aren't quite totally full stars. They're kind of like the image quality isn't quite the best because it's so small. So I decided to just freehand it, and that'll work out pretty well. All right, so now we're going to work on Black Widow next, and she doesn't really have anything special. No shield, no hammer, nothing. She's got a tiny little gun, but that's about it. And throughout the entire movie, that's pretty much the only piece of equipment she had was a small handgun. So definitely not as cool as the other stuff, that's for sure. So we've got her on there, and I'm just sticking that down. And then I'm going to work on Hulk next, obviously, and he's the biggest one, probably the easiest one to cut out because he gives it a little more time, a little more space to work with since he's the biggest silhouette here. So work on that. And there's a bunch of like little bubbles up in the top right corner. I'm not sure exactly what those are, but I'm going to cut some of those out. I'm going to just focus on Iron Man after this. So. And like I said, his hand did get cut out a little bit for some reason, so I'm going to have to freehand that. So there's the Hulk there. You can tell he's a lot bigger than the other people on there, which is pretty good scale reference between the characters and the size difference. Now I'm going to work on Iron Man, and he's a lot higher up than everyone else, obviously, as you can tell. I'm just going to be cutting him out next. So just a brief overview of what's going to happen today. I do have a few other videos that I'm going to try to post today as well, and if all goes well, they'll be posted today. I can't really guarantee it because YouTube is always acting up in some way. But there'll be hopefully a few things coming tonight, and you guys can watch out for those. And this will be obviously the first video that's going to be posted today. It's actually a lot earlier than my normal time lapses. Most of my time lapses are posted between 11 p.m. and midnight, but this one's going to post a lot sooner, which is great. So now I'm going to work on those streams of light here, and obviously they got to go behind Hulk, so I'm actually going to stick that on there and then just kind of trim around him. and that's one of the most effective ways of doing something like this. And there's a smaller stream of light, and I'm going to apply that towards the bottom there. And there's also one for his I forget what they're called, like his arm blasters, I'll call them. So I got that part right there. And I thought this whole thing was kind of just, missing a giant Avengers logo, so I decided to print one out and stick that on the towards the left side of the paper here. It was definitely missing something up on the top left corner, so I decided to cut this out to kind of fill in that blank space. So working on cutting that out. And this one's always a little bit hard to cut out. It's one of the harder logos because it has all those it has that round circle around it, and it's kind of hard to line that up and without it, getting all messed up. So a little bit tricky, but it tends to work out in the end here. So I'm gonna stick that on and try to get that into the right spot right where it needs to go. Kind of fiddle with that bottom part of the A a little bit, and then of course work on the two curved parts. So there's the left side. And of course the right side. This one's a little bit longer, but I kind of have to work on that a little bit more to make sure it lines up perfectly. And that should just about do it. Alright, so there's the Avengers Silhouette time-lapse that I wanted to show you guys. Pretty cool logo. It's got all the Avengers on it, all 6 of them. And with the Avengers logo on the top left-hand corner. So hope you guys liked the video, and of course if all goes well, there'll be some other videos coming tonight, so watch out for those, and I'll catch you later on for those.